My name is Grant Meyer, and I am the founder of TrueMix Advisors, and I've been a financial advisor for 16 years now, and I volunteer with Wings for Widows since 2020. When we meet with widows for the first time, they're in crisis. They're trying to figure out some big problem, and on top of that, they just lost their partner that they've been with for sometimes decades. They may have a child with, and you're meeting them in a very vulnerable situation. And the piece that is common throughout all is that when we coach through the full 4 sessions and help them with their big burning questions and then take them through the coaching process to see the transformation from start to end is just really impactful, meaningful, and hearing over and over again from different people how you've been able to solve problems for them when they're going through the worst thing in their entire lives has really been meaningful and stuck out to me over the years. So as a volunteer coach with Wings for Widows, we're somewhat like an emergency first responder, and it's so important that we get coaching early on in that process, because when you are a widow, there are so many different unique financial things that come up that well-intentioned people may be trying to give you advice around, but they may just unfortunately be giving you bad advice. For instance, I had one client who got a small life insurance settlement, and she had debt with the IRS and an unsecured credit card only in the husband's name. And she was given the advice to pay off the high interest rate credit card, which on the surface may make sense. But when you understand working with widows and the special financial decisions that you can make when somebody's passed away, credit cards are unsecured debt. That debt didn't necessarily have to be paid back versus the IRS debt does. The correct decision would have been to pay off the IRS debt, but she was informed to pay off the credit card debt. She did that before coming to Wings for Widows, and that was a tens of thousands of dollars mistake because she received bad advice early on in the process. And so working with somebody who understands how these different financial instruments work when dealing with death is extremely important, so that way you can intervene and really make an impact early on. Impactful story that comes to mind was this widow named Sarah. And Sarah is just, she's fantastic. But in her financial life, she really wasn't involved. And she came across her husband who had a heart attack in their kitchen. It was extremely disturbing for her to find her loved one, her spouse there, and he had managed their entire financial picture. And when she came to us, she didn't understand what they had as far as investments, life insurance, income, expenses. She didn't know if they could stay in the home, and she had 3 young kids. And we were able to work together, and we first started by documenting her basic cash flow, what expenses are coming in. Some bills were paper, some were electronic. We started to document her income, and we also took a look at her investments, her portfolio. She had no idea how much money they had, where it was, what type of accounts. And also she was extremely conservative. She didn't like risk. Come to find out, her husband had put all of their money in small cap stocks, which, if you know anything about investing, is extremely aggressive. And that was a big surprise to her. She didn't know that. And so really worked through the building blocks of creating an emergency fund, understanding cash flow, getting her portfolio aligned, getting her connected with Social Security, getting benefits for the minor kids. And because of all that work, she felt way more confident in her finances. She was able to stay in her home. She had enough income coming in from where she was at in life with the Social Security benefits from her minor kids and her portfolio, where she could live comfortably and be okay. And the amount of relief she had and certainty around her finances by the end of the coaching process was just night and day difference. And I will forever remember her and working with her. important so that way you can intervene and really make an impact early on. So as a volunteer coach with Wings for Widows, we're somewhat like an emergency first responder, and it's so important. I was really inspired to become a volunteer coach when I began working with a married couple in my own practice. The husband passed away, and the wife was left to figure out her whole financial picture while she was grieving. And as a CFP, we learned so much about finance, but what shocked me is how many unique things there are in the world of finance when it comes to death and the loss of a spouse that I was encountering for the first time in working with this widow. And I was there to guide her through everything and found so much meaning in being there to lift the burden of finances off of her plate so she could focus on her grief journey. And ever since that one really meaningful, impactful interaction with those clients, my heart was drawn to volunteer more. And I believe I was meant to find Wings for Widows and stumbled upon them, and I haven't looked back since.